So we obviously have a guest speaker, Brigham Dallas. We're excited. Thank you, Brigham, for hopping on. Everyone else, thank you guys for hopping on. We're gonna get a few more joining. I know that for a fact. But I just wanted to kind of get this started. So we're gonna start off with who we are, fun fact, and where we're from. So Jack, what's going on with you? Who are you? Fun fact, and maybe where you're from.
Hey Jordan, good to see everybody. Brigham, nice to meet you as well.
Yeah.
I'm Jack. I'm from New York, live in New York City. I know Jordan from UT. We go way back, the undergrad days, and I'm in wealth management. I'm a financial advisor now for Mass Mutual, so do both kind of the asset management and insurance side there. My fun fact, the one I always like to use here, is I made a basket at Madison Square Garden when I was like 10 years old.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, not bad.
Nice.
And that's about it.
That is cool. Dylan, what about you? Where are you from?
Um,
Fun fact.
yeah, I'm from Long Island, New York originally. I'm living in West Palm Beach now the past 6 years or so. I broker energy commodities. Um, and my fun fact, I was half deaf until I was like 7 years old. And we
Wow.
didn't know until like first grade when you start like developing speech and different things. My teacher called in my parents and told them that she thought I was on the spectrum because of my lack of attention abilities and ability to communicate or be social. And then it turns out that, yeah, my ears were just clogged since birth and they just had to cover them out a little bit,
What?
do speech for a year or two. And then I was all good. I still mumble, but
Wow.
That's an incredible fact. The
yeah, I
funny
kind of
thing is,
forgot. I was trying to think of a new fun fact. I'm like, I haven't been doing this so long.
yeah, Dylan and Jack have been in the group for years, and it's just when someone drops a fun fact that you haven't heard, you're like, oh, who are you?
Uh,
I didn't know you had that in you. Don't worry, Brigham. We'll get to you in a sec for a fun fact. Uh, cool. What about you?
Hey, what's
Where
up,
you from?
guys?
Yeah.
Nice to meet y'all. So my name's Cole. Some people call me Cole the Connector. Love networking, love connecting with people. So, I was raised in Virginia, came down to Florida and Tampa for the past 2.5 years. But I guess my fun fact was I was originally born in Italy,
Oh wow.
not military, but actual Italian citizenship. Trying to get my dual citizenship this year. And then I have two little brothers over there on my dad's side. So it's, going back to the mainland this year.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I think it's the big year there. It's the Jubilee
Yeah,
year.
yeah,
It's a big
you're
deal.
well versed. It's every
Dude,
25 years, year of Jubilee. So
it's a big deal there. Yeah, I went to Rome last year and they're like, watch out for next year. It's going to be so busy. They were literally doing work in March
yeah,
for the following year. I'm like, geez Louise, guys.
it's
But
nuts.
2,000-year-old city, they can't just move dirt that easily. There's a lot of stuff
Yep.
that built on there. Um, so let's keep it going. Griff, what's up with you? Where are you from and what's a fun fact? Where are you living now? Griffin, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear some dog barking too. I love it.
Yeah, this is dog yapping at me. Wait, so can you call me next?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
All right, bet.
Jacoby.
Hello.
Jacoby. What's going on with you, Jacoby?
I
What's
just
going
got
on with
out of the
you?
gym. Just got home.
Oh, nice. Tell us a little bit. What are you up to? Where you live in? Fun fact.
Um, well, my name's Jacoby. I'm from Michigan, but unfortunately, I'm living in West Virginia. I am in between jobs right now, and a fun fact about me, I don't know. I really can't think right now. I don't have a fun fact off the cuff.
You're
No
living in
fun?
West Virginia. That's fun.
I don't know about fun, but it's something.
I got you. I got you, Jacoby. Griff, are you ready now?
Yeah, I'm better now. Yeah, sorry about that. There's a dog yapping.
No worries.
Hey everyone. Griffin Shaw. I live in St. Petersburg, Florida. This is my 6th month in St. Pete. Just turned 26. Celebrating my 3rd year at McKesson at the end of this month in healthcare sales. And let's see, fun fact. Someone mentioned it earlier. I also have a dual citizenship. I have a UK passport.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was born there.
Nice.
Fun fact.
Wow.
Yeah,
Let's
in
go.
Glastonbury, England. So
Nice.
Really?
yeah, I'll be honest. I know the story from my parents, which is a little. I think it's pretty funny, but there's universal health care over there. So if you're a citizen, childbirth is free. In America, that's not the case. So my parents took advantage of that and went to go see family and saved some money. And out of it, we got a dual passports, me and my sister. So pretty sweet deal.
That's crazy. I love that. That's
Yeah.
actually a really good strategy.
Good idea
Brigham,
when you don't have much money at the time.
you gotta do what you gotta do. I might do
Yeah.
that. Who knows? I want dual citizenship.
2 for 1 with the twins.
I feel like if it was one kid, they'd be like, I don't know, maybe. But when it's twins, it's like, we gotta
Yeah,
go.
the
We
twins.
gotta go. That's funny. Brigham, what about you? Who are you? We can do a little more intro a little bit later, but we can just do a quick
Yeah.
overview and a fun fact.
Yeah, born in South Carolina, live in Phoenix right now, Arizona. Fun fact, I lived almost a year in my 20s in Spain for learning how to salsa dance.
Dude, let's
I love
go.
that.
Yeah.
I
I
love
love
that. So like gringos salsa dancing.
Yeah, it's pretty much
That's
was definitely the odd guy out over there. It was something I just got out of a relationship, pretty serious one. Yeah, I was engaged and I just like needed to heal. So I moved out to like an island off the coast of Africa. It's called the Canary
fun.
Islands. And they
Yeah,
had really good salsa dancing out there, and it was just like very cathartic. At first it was just like my way of healing, but it became something I really was passionate about, and I stayed out there for
Oh,
almost a year.
love that.
yeah. So as Brigham keeps going, he's one of the most interesting guys. And that's
Tyler.
really why I want him to speak to with you guys, because he's got stories for days, but he's also lives a very optimized lifestyle, which I think we can all learn a little bit about. So we'll do a quick wins, and then we'll get into it. So a win can be anything and everything. It can be just what's going on with you. It could be that you're on this call. It could be something that big happened to you. It can be anything you want it to be. So Jack, what's a win that you got?
Win would be the company Palantir. That's for Dylan's benefit. I'm smiling. That's a win.
I already got text about it.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
Dylan, what about you? Are we gonna go
Yeah,
double up?
yeah. Well, I guess that with the year it's been, but I had a cool weekend. I went out to Naples I did a golf trip over the weekend with this guy that I used to caddy for at the course I worked at. He's kind of like a mentor type friend to me now, and it was cool because it was the first time I did it. It was a 2-day golf trip, but we stayed at cottages on the property of the golf course. So it's just like you're just out there and no one's there at night. You got like the fire going, there's a putting and chipping green. Like it was just a really cool full golf experience. And I've been golfing my whole life and I haven't done something like that before. So that was fun. It was a cool side of it. I definitely want to do more of it.
That's awesome. Yeah, a little bit more immersive and unique, and you start to realize that it's not like the same experience every time. You can go through it in a very cool way.
Yeah.
Love it.
And to be able to drive there 2 hours away, like it felt like a huge getaway. But it was like, I was left Saturday morning, I was back Sunday evening.
Absolutely. And then your accountability was find a triathlon on mid-March and April, maybe do a sign up, and then 3 to 4 weeks plan for the junior broker. Or,
Yeah. So the sign up, I haven't official. I just got to do that. It's just the background, but I am doing them. I have been training already. I've been back in the mix. And I let all my coworkers know I'm doing it, so I got to.
it's
And then
happening.
the junior broker, yeah, I had a lot of time in the car this weekend. So I came up with some good plans and got him working on a large project that he like spent all day on. He really took to it well, and he'll be doing that all of this week, and then we'll kind of take it from there and build off it. And then we're going on a client trip together in 2 weeks. So that's taking form.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Cole, what about you? What's a win that you got?
Win this weekend was just being able to connect two guys that are really passionate about nonprofit and at-risk kids, kids
Yeah,
who are just going in juvenile, and like just connecting them on Zoom and just watching them back and forth. Just I don't know, it fuels my love tank. So
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I mean, Cole, we're gonna get this superpower working for you.
yeah, yeah, So I
Um,
guess that's the accountability is just I don't know,
no, no,
optimize
no,
my
no.
life.
We'll get to there a little bit later. Don't you worry. Griff, what about you? What's your win?
Win is probably I had my account review at work, and in that account review is when you like calculate where you are compared to everyone else and like what your potential payout will be and all that fun stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah, some good things were brought up. I'm tracking well in advance, and our new chief operating officer had asked about me because basically, like the account review goes from my boss to obviously to them, from like a quarter review, whatever they do with our chief operating officer, and she asked for me, which is good since she's new. And any good news about my name is always a good win, I'd say. When
Okay.
someone up that high is asking for you, and it's a positive manner, so that's my win. And I got a power washer, which is sick.
Oh, good. You remembered it. Okay, your power
Yes, I
washer,
didn't
which
use
is
it.
like,
I haven't set like I've set it up and everything. I got it like I just haven't used it because it became dark last night. So I was like, all right, screw it. I'll figure it out later.
okay. Sounds good. And then Jacoby, what about you? What's a win you got? If you don't want to do a win, you don't have to do a win, Jacoby.
Well, I mean, I do have a win. I have
Oh
a
yeah.
couple of wins actually.
Let's hear 'em.
Uh, the biggest one is I finally finalized the topic of my capstone for
Okay.
my degree, which is like the biggest thing because like once I finish this, I will have my degree and I won't have to worry about school for at least a year.
That's
The
good.
second win, I have a couple job interviews lined up this week for a couple different positions. One out in Vegas, a couple with the Secret Service, and another with Customs and Border Protection. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
Congratulations. That's incredible.
thanks.
Chase, are you still away? We'll give him more time. He said he needed 15 minutes. And then bring him. What's the win that you got?
We launched an app January 1st, and this month we had 8,000 downloads.
Oh
Pretty
wow,
cool.
what's the app?
It's a Hello Sugar app, so just booking appointments on the Hello Sugar website, but they can do it now on the app.
Oh, congratulations. And what's that difference been for you?
I don't know yet, but I think being on the real estate of somebody's phone means that they're going to be more likely to use us. And so it should
Yeah.
increase the lifetime value of the clientele.
Yeah, absolutely. How long you been working on the app?
5 months. It was a $80,000 project.
Was it a big up thing that you wanted to do for 2024 or just kind of
Yeah,
like
it was one of
sacrifice?
our biggest thing is like last year was retention. So like how do we improve retention?
Okay.
And that was one of the big things we wanted to do because now you can gamify things. You can say things like, if you come in the next 35 days, we'll give you X extra benefit. So you
Yeah,
really start to get people on a reward system to come in more often and frequently.
I like that. Oh, I've seen that. Yeah, like basically I'll buy like if I was gonna buy tickets for something and I hold the tickets in the cart, but I don't buy them, then I get a text like 2 days later or an email being like, "Hey, do you want 20% off?" And it's like, maybe actually. Like I might be interested now. I know exactly what you're saying. So
Yeah, yeah. That's right.
because it makes a difference, especially because to them, they don't need that much profit margin. And it's like if you can get more people in the doors and with how automated you guys are, it really makes sense.
Yeah, you gamify. Like Starbucks does a good job of this. You buy enough, you get a free drink. You get points that go towards a free drink. It's usually about 10% off over multiple
Yeah.
times, gets you a free drink. And then the same element, like we could say things like if you do a bikini wax, next time you come in, you'll get underarms for just $5. But you have to come back in 35 days. If you come back in
Yeah.
40, it doesn't work. And
Yeah.
people will come back more frequently. And it pays for itself on the benefits that we give.
They'll end up doing other stuff as well,
Yeah.
which is
Mhm.
important. Cool. So let's get into the first topic. So the way this works, guys, is I'm gonna basically tell you a little bit more about Brigham, tell you the first topic, and then Brigham will talk for 3 to 4 minutes on the topic, and then we'll do a little bit of a round robin where everyone will kind of get to share their insights. And then if you guys have a question, you can ask it then. And then I have 2 or 3 other topics, and we'll see how many we can get through, and then whatever questions come up. So, guys, I'm really excited because we have Brigham Dallas. He's a world traveler. He's the founder of Hello Sugar, and they have over 100 franchise locations. And he does much, much more. Like he's telling me how next week he's going heli skiing. He's traveling all over the world extensively. He really has it figured out. So for me, I thought it would be super valuable for all of us to realize how do you think about money management and then lifestyle? Because I know everyone wants to do this whole keeping up with the Joneses thing. And then some people are like, no, we can't spend any money. Some people are like, let's spend the whole bag. Let's do everything. So, how do you think about money management inside of your business and then inside of your personal in regard to
Yeah.
like lifestyle? Like, yeah.
Yeah, a couple of principles here that I have. One is if you're gonna be like super frugal about the stuff that's not that important for you, and then spend lavishly on the stuff that is important to you. So, for example, for me, like when I was in my 20s, I couldn't care less about where I slept because sleeping is you're just asleep for it. Like who really cares about that, right? So I would stay in the cheapest of hotel rooms because it wasn't that important to me. But instead, I would spend money on traveling to a cool place or doing cool activities in the place. Or for example, my phone is something I'm on all the time, so I'm gonna have the latest phone because it's something that's like I need it because I'm on it all the time, right? So I'd be willing to spend higher on technology that makes my life easier. But going out to eat, I don't really care that much about going to expensive restaurants. So like I'm not gonna spend as much on that because it's not as important to me. So it's not a matter of like everything is expensive, spending lavishly on everything. Pick the things and make sure that they're really important to you, and everything else you can stay really frugal on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think did you come up with that yourself, or did you get that from Ramit Sethi? Have you read his
Ramit
book, How to Be Rich? Or I Will Make
Ramit,
You Be
I will
Rich?
teach you to be rich. Is
Yeah,
that his
yeah,
book?
yeah. Have you
I
read that
did read
book?
his book. I did read his book. I don't know if maybe I got that from him. Yeah.
It,
I mean, it
it's
was
a
a couple
similar
years ago.
principle. It's a similar principle. The reason I really like it is because it's so true. Like you don't have to go get the most expensive thing in each area of life. You get to choose what is important to you. But the biggest thing that we miss is we don't even know what's important to us because we're always trying to keep up with everybody else. So it's hard for us to distinguish of what we really enjoy. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, you got more. Bring
Yeah,
him. You
I'll
can hop in
continue.
whenever. If you have any insight, hop in whenever. Free reign, like do your thing.
Yeah, I'll continue on the personal side. So here's how I've structured like my personal lives, like finances. So everything's in buckets, right? So the business accounts have buckets. The business is going to be whatever business it is, it's a separate account. We have 12 businesses in the Hello Sugar platform. And then we pay taxes on those businesses, so that goes to a separate bucket. And then what's left over, what flows into my personal account, then becomes like I'm married right now, so it goes into the joint Brigham and my wife's name is Emma, Brigham and Emma account. From there, we're gonna pay our credit card. We share a credit card together, so we pay our credit card down, and that's gonna be for things that we do together, like if we stay at a hotel, if we have like a cell phone together, health insurance, like just the normal things that people share. That's all on a credit card.
Yeah,
And then we have another bucket called real estate. And every month we have our rent, which our rent is like very cheap for Phoenix. I pay like 2,400 bucks a month, but I don't put $2,400 in that account. I put what I should be paying if I were like actually owning a house. So I put like $10,000 in that account a month. And that account just saves and grows money. And then I have another account called the charity account. It's another bucket. And then I take a percentage of my earnings and put it into the charity bucket. And then I have another account that's like just like an investment account for like Roth and those kinds of things. From there, we fill all of those buckets. And then what's left over is split 50-50. And my biggest thing with this is how you never fight with your wife is because when it gets into that bucket of 50-50, whatever's in her account, she can use for whatever she wants. I can't tell her what to do with it, and vice versa. Whatever's in my account, I can go buy whatever I want. So my wife's Romanian, good chance that someday she's gonna pay for some roof that's like $20,000 for her parents, or she's gonna send, like stuff that like I would think, oh, this is such a waste. But if
yeah,
it's in her personal account, I already know that all of the really important buckets are taken care of. And
yeah,
if she spends the money on that, it's there. And so this
yeah.
takes a lot of the decision making out of finances. I used to think, could I afford to go get an appetizer or buy a drink at a restaurant? Now I can just look at the personal account, knowing that everything else is taken care of, and know that I have enough money to do X activity or buy X thing.
I For someone who just got married, like I got married in November, that was very, very helpful.
Yeah,
Just because you don't realize spending money can be very confusing and everyone's like, is it fair? Are we doing this? Is this right? But even in your own regard, it's like allocating the finances each month. Like I honestly have a fun account. Like I have an account that I allocate funds to each month for fun. And the
yeah,
reason for that is because if that account gets too big, then you don't do the fun thing. Then you're like, I should go do something fun. It causes a change. So, Jack, what are you taking away from this? So we'll have everyone kind of round robin, share their piece, and then if they have a question, they can kind of chime in here.
Yeah, I mean, I do what you kind of just dove into is certainly my area, right? I do personal
Of
financial
course.
planning for individuals and also businesses. So a lot of what you just said is certainly common, and I can kind of applaud you, right? You're doing everything that I would honestly recommend if I was drawing up a financial plan for someone in your position. So there's a lot of things that I think there's a lot of information out there, is what I'm trying to say, and people really don't know what to believe, right? And I think if you find a system that works for you, you get certain advice that ends up sticking and kind of working, don't overthink it, right? Kind of keep it simple, but also, follow through, execute, and, continue to do what's working. And that sounds like it is working for you. So
Thanks, Jack.
change anything.
Yeah. One final piece of thought on this is I put all of those accounts into a Schwab. So Schwab has a banking account, so you have cash, and then you can take the other parts of that account and put it into like either stocks or bonds or high yield savings accounts. And so depending on how liquid I need the money to be, most of my money is tied up in high yield investment accounts until I need it, whether that be like a high yield savings, a bond, or stocks.
CD, money market. Yep. Yeah. It's the way to
You
go.
get so that you're not losing the money, the value of it. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
nothing's just sitting in a bank account, basically.
I hear that. Jack, do you have any questions for Brigham?
No, well, not on this subject necessarily.
No, you can go deviate to another subject. It's okay, because I know you have to drop at 6.
That's true. No, I mean, listen, my business, I don't own a business, but I
Yeah.
am technically an entrepreneur in the sense of I have my own practice, and I think any entrepreneur, any young professional who's is in sales in some capacity, right? When you talk to anyone who's successful, I think they usually will say, you want to show me a top salesman, top producer, show me $100 million marketer, right? I hear that a lot. I'd be curious, your take on someone who's, early in their business career, early in their own entrepreneurial journey, any advice you'd have,
Yeah.
whether on marketing or even something else you think that's really important to kind of take you to the next level in terms of client acquisition.
Yeah, I would absolutely spend time building your TikTok following, Jack. And the reason why I would pick that is because all of your contacts that you have in your phone that are on TikTok are going to see your videos. So
Yeah.
it was an interesting process for me about a year and a half ago. Like I found this like TikTok company that basically just helps you build videos. And so I'd spend an hour a week just producing videos on whatever. And I was so shocked about all of my friends that had seen my videos and then talked about those things. And then the other additional like help that did for me was when people were looking to buy a franchise, you need to create some kind of parasocial relationship with people. And parasocial means you don't know much about them, but they know a lot about you. They know about your personal life. And so when people buy franchises, Jordan and I did a podcast. I have so many people that they're sold before I even meet them because they've watched my videos, they've seen my podcast, they've learned all of these things about me on their own. I don't
Yeah.
even tell them where to go. They just Google me and they find all these videos and then they start learning about those things. And that builds trust. And so when we look at the trust, spectrum, the more trust is required, the higher the degree of communication needed. If somebody trusts you explicitly, then you could be like, go over there, and then
I'll
you'll just
go.
go, right? But because they don't know you very well, because you're doing something that's very important and personal to them, the more communication that you have out in the open, broadly, the more the parasocial relationship exists, the higher the likelihood that someone will trust you. And it's just an easy way, TikTok, for you to be on their phone, for them to see you, to get to know the way that you think about markets and some of the success stories you've had with clients. For those people that you don't really have to push it in their face, it's just going to show up on their feeds.
Excellent. Really great advice. Thank you for that.
And
Parasocial was something I hadn't heard before, and that actually rings true a lot. So that was great.
Yeah.
and Jack, also the way Brigham just described it, you could literally talk about not you could talk about Brigham, but you could talk about those separate bank accounts. Like you don't have to talk about a specific client. You can keep it super vague where it's like, hey guys, just want to bring this tip of, have you ever thought about just having a fun account? Have you ever thought about having a real estate account or a life insurance or whatever it is? You could have them. You don't have to speak specifically to what it is what I'm getting at. And it doesn't have
Yeah,
to
and that's pretty much how it would have to operate, being
Yeah.
Yeah,
FINRA.
I was gonna say you can't really
I
go.
so many regulations and compliance on my end. Just being a registered investment advisor, just they shut you down so quickly with what you can talk about. So it usually has to be pretty high level and non-product specific. But
Yeah.
I mean, social media is the name of the game now. I know having a digital presence is how you obviously attract, and like you said, having your name, kind of be a prerequisite ahead of the phone call, kind of like that. That's what's going to help. So thank you.
Absolutely. Appreciate that, Jack.
Yeah. The other two things, keep it very contemporary. So I would touch on things happening in the market today and how it's affecting your clients or your people. And then don't ask people to like and follow you, or don't ask them some cheesy question. Like I used to do that, and it's so cheesy. Like just give them good information and content.
Yeah,
That you're not looking to sell anything on this. You're just looking for people to see you.
couldn't agree more.
All value add. Love that. Dylan, what about you? What are you taking from what we're discussing? And if you have any questions, you could totally hop in. Jack, great
Yeah, I
question.
mean, I love the bucket approach. I do something similar, but not quite. I mean, I'm very loose in my organization and planning, but I kind of like I get paid a salary and then I get bonuses at two different times a year. And the way I go about it is like the salary takes care of all of my, the rent, the living expenses, the biweekly checks is what covers all the actual expenses. And then as soon as I get the bonus check, like goes from the checking account, I don't touch it. It goes right into, I have a Schwab account as well. I go right
Nice.
into it, as much of it as I can, invest all the dotted lines, like the insurance policy stuff I have through Jack, like that gets taken care of with that. The investments
Nice.
do, and then I'll kind of take a step back and look at it and be like, all right, to touch back on what else you spoke on that I really like is decide what you enjoy in life and things that you don't as much, and like be frugal on things that you don't, enjoy it, and then, spend lavishly on what you do. And like I also, it's like, where do I get my enjoyment out of life? It's from traveling, going to memorable like experience type events and things of the sort. Like I don't care about having fancy clothes, like stuff like that. So it's like I kind of look at that once I make those investments up there. It's like, okay, in the next 3 to 6 months, what are things I want to do? And when I know that I have stuff to plan and look forward to, and then I see where I'm at money wise, being like, okay, now if I want to enjoy, one thing I like to do is I like to cook good steak and I like to have good dinners. Like I'm like, all right, I'll spend money on those things, but I'm not going to chase all the random, money holes here because I have, X, Y, and Z to look forward to over the next month or two. But I think that a lot of people don't choose what they enjoy. Like they get paid, they have a good bonus, and then their friends are going to a certain bar or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, sure, I can go and spend $500, $600 today because I just got paid. Meanwhile, it's like you put two of those together, that's a 3-day trip to Costa Rica if you want to.
Absolutely. Is there any question you have, Dylan?
On those two topics, not
You
specifically.
can
I don't
go
know if you
any
want to wait for
top. I
more.
mean, you can go anywhere you want with Brigham.
Yeah. Um,
If you need to
Kind of
pass, you
curious,
can
like,
pass.
so what you have? It's close to 100 locations now, right?
Yeah, there's 112 open.
And did you start it the original corporate business and then you franchised it as well, but you still manage the corporate? And is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So what I'm curious for you was it? I mean, obviously, location one, that's a big hurdle and milestone, but because there's a difference, like the 1 to 3 locations, especially they all started kind of in that area of Phoenix. Like you have a bit of word of mouth, the territory a little more. But if you'd say you group it like 1 through 5 and then 10 to 20 and then maybe franchising, what level of growth was either like the scariest or hardest? Like, was there a certain level there where you're like, oh, maybe I'm a little too quick or too deep, or like this is, 10 to 20 is a lot different from 1 to 3. Like, it's looking back on it, were there certain kind of milestones that stuck out to you a little differently?
Yeah, so everything that I looked at was about asymmetric risk. How do I create
Yeah.
the minimal amount of risk to create the maximum amount of benefit? So my first location, I put it up inside of a plastic surgeon's office. It was a one-room studio. It cost me $3,000 to open. I brought a waxer in, and for like 7 months, I just figured out what waxing was all about. Like, what do women care about, and how do I build a brand, based on the things that were important to them. And then I went out and put all my eggs into building a flagship, which is like a large location, 4 rooms.
Yeah.
They could like make money. And I knew when I transferred my 1 room clientele into the flagship, I could at least pay my rents at that first
Yeah.
location. And then I went out and built another suite in a different area of town. And so that risk, like step risk function was really nice to like, I was always feeling secure on that side. When I started the
Yeah.
franchise, I took a look at that a lot like software. I'd have these, I'll see you, Jack. I have these theories about like how this should be done in different markets, but who knows like what's going to work, right? And so we would roll out to 3 people at a time or 2 people at a time. There'd be big changes every time we'd roll out. And then once, and it was only my friends at this point. It was not like a big, like just anyone in the public.
Yeah.
Once I felt like the incremental change was nominal, like very small, that's when I rolled it out to the public and started really scaling. So it took probably like 8 iterations before I was comfortable with that.
Yeah. No, it's smart. I think that the very slow early stage scaling and growth in locations, you're like you're expanding to meet demand, not to offer more supply. Like the comfort aspect that you said was there.
Yeah, it's yeah, and scale, every time you scale, it requires an additional increase in finances. So
Yeah.
sometimes like if you're scaling at a normal rate, it's like you can cover that. But when you have parabolic scaling, like exponential growth, it's very hard to meet up with the demands of the scale. It's
Yeah.
really expensive, right? It's almost too expensive for the business to meet exponential
Hmm.
growth. And so in the beginning, you got to be really careful about not overextending yourself if you have a good
Yeah.
product.
I think that's the fatal flaw. I think a lot of businesses that have the potential to franchise or expand in that sense do extremely well with one location, pretty good with two. And then when they look to really expand, they try to go from 2 to 10 way too quickly. And then they get met with, you realize how important the human capital was, or how much of your core clients were word of mouth, friends and family, and that hasn't spread quick enough. And I think that there's a lot of risk there, like the quick
Yeah,
early, just wanting it too fast, I guess.
absolutely. Absolutely.
100%. Awesome question. Chase, are you kicking? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. Been listening.
Give us a quick who you
Yeah.
are, and then tell us what if you got a question or anything.
Yeah, I'm Chase. I'm over here in St. Petersburg, Florida. Run I got one helper that helps me out now. But I run a lawn care and landscaping business, kind of smaller scale, but been going like 2.5 years full time now. Yeah, I just wanted to just married my wife December 14th. So it's you put that in really simple terms for me to understand as far as the buckets, and
Yeah.
she was literally asking me about stuff related to that today, and I was like, me and you are just gonna have to look through it tonight and see. So I appreciate that info. And we do most of those things, but as far as really, I like how you narrowed down that extra spending money and with you and your wife. um Also, the exponential growth you had just mentioned, I definitely resonated with that. Like I'd say my first 2 years, I got into the business from some buddies here in town that own real estate. I've been taking care of their properties since I started, and then I was just through word of mouth, um, acquired the rest of my clients. And last year, I just realized I was going for that quantity over quality. I mean, I was still, giving people great service, but there was certain clients couldn't keep up with, couldn't get to jobs on time, and kind of, I guess, how it worked out was big hurricane came and knocked off certain clients that I rather not do. It just kind of worked out that way. But this year took the approach of, okay, let's, you know, like in this line of work, it's better to find those clients that are willing to pay you money or that are actually going to spend on extra services, instead of just mowing their yard. But
Yeah.
that's your bread and butter. You make money through some other services. So yeah, I just related to that.
Thanks, man.
Just yeah, this year's been going just a lot better as far as um, just
More
being
focused.
happier. Yeah, more focused, but also just being happier on the clients that I do have and giving them the best, service I can, and just keeping that into account as I'm growing. Like not trying to grow too fast, but also stay focused and not too content. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Chase, do you have a question for Brigham?
um, yeah, I mean, I guess as far as franchising, like there's a guy named Mike Andes that does Augusta Lawn Care. He franchises these his lawn care company. He started out in Augusta, Georgia, and I know he's in several other locations. But I guess um, what did it get easier as you grew it? I mean, did it, or maybe not easier, but maybe more simple? I don't know. I guess kind of similar to Dylan's question, but um, did it just become um, I guess your comfort level as you grew it? Did it get easier as even though you started off with one, but now you got a whole bunch? I guess I'm just wondering
Yeah.
if
So,
it, yeah.
yeah, I think that's a two-part question. Like, as a general business principle, a business doing 100,000 in revenue is far more difficult to run than a business doing 1 million in revenue, and far more difficult to run than a business doing 10 million in revenue. And that's because as you continue to grow, you're able to hire smarter, more corporate efficient people that can independently act without any need of you and advice. At the $10 million mark, I'm making far fewer decisions. My decisions have a lot more gravity, and there's more of a spotlight, for like lawsuits on my head. But I've got people running the entire business, right? Like I'm completely stepped out of my, corporate stores in Arizona. On the franchise side, it is a totally different beast. If you did decide to franchise, just understand that it's it's a lot harder than running a typical business, because now you're trying to run a lot of people's businesses, and unless your business can run on its own, it's not a good idea to franchise yet.
And like if you go to different places, is there different regulations or different?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah. There's these things called registration states. There's about 18 of them, and those states have their own individual rules for franchising. But if
okay,
you have a business that's doing a 30% margin, and it's like unique, there's a lot of lawn care businesses out there. You have a
right.
really good strategy for acquiring new customers, then that might be something, and you have $100,000 cash. If you don't have 100K cash, like you can't franchise, but it might be something to consider. Franchising is great because you can make a crap ton of money franchising. Not from the franchise itself, but on the transactional sale later down the road.
Yeah.
But it's hard.
Okay.
It's hard, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's awesome. Chase, you got anything else?
No, good. I appreciate it.
Griff, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, kind of while we're on the topic of like the different state franchising rules, I was kind of curious because I work with, I would say, like pharmacy, CVS franchises as Publix, like all the different, like, I would say, pharmacies that come from a vast array of different types of entities. And some of the states that I have, like Texas and Florida, they do much better in than some of the other states. So I was kind of just curious from like your perspective and understanding, like, what are kind of some of the better states to do business in, and some of the ones you've had like maybe a negative experience in, or like that you know of that are kind of like ones to stay away
Yeah.
from?
Just curiosity, what do you think are the worst states to do business in?
Uh, Massachusetts, Illinois, California, and
New York.
New York.
probably New York. Yeah.
Yeah, you got some of them right and some of them actually the opposite. So
Ooh, okay.
California and New York are the hardest states to do business in, followed by Washington.
Washington. Okay.
Yeah, Washington, I think, has the hardest rules for franchising, and most franchises don't make it to Washington until they're on a national level. But in terms
Yeah.
of state regulation, anytime a state requires specialty stuff, like the employment and labor laws of California are so unique that it's really challenging to do business there. And same with New
Yeah.
York City. Like you really gotta be dialed in before you go to these two states. We didn't start franchising there for 3 years. Chicago's actually a great state, or sorry, Illinois, Chicago in
Hmm.
particular is a great place to franchise. You have a high density of people. Your rents on like commercial spaces are very low. but the prices that it commands are some of the highest in the country. So
Got it.
it has New York feels in terms of densities and like cost of living and like, your margins, but without the New York rental costs. It's about a half the cost for the rent. So Chicago's a great market. And so is Dallas. Dallas, like I think anyone who's looking to franchise or expand their business, if you can't make it work in like Texas, like especially Dallas or Houston, then you probably aren't ready to go on a national scale.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I was kind of just basing those off, if I'm being honest, off of the customers that I have based off what state their headquarters in and like how well their business is performing or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I threw Illinois up in that market. Also, contracting with them is pretty tough
Mm,
with like
yeah.
state entity laws. So that was kind of my assumption there. But no, I appreciate the insight there.
Yeah, you picked all the liberal states.
Yeah, it is true. I did.
Yeah.
Those are also the states I have like territories with. So I like have contracted with state entities. So I kind of
Yeah.
know like which ones are a pain in the ass when I'm reading over their like obligations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, even New York, just to like, I have a buddy and he tried getting an LLC and like you need a newspaper art, like you need a whole laundry list of things. In Florida, it's like click a button, LLC. So
So
it's
nice.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, there's just a big difference when it's like we're trying to make this work for you or we're trying to make this really challenging for you.
Yeah.
Cool. Cole, for you, what are you taking? And then we'll go to Jacoby and then we'll see if we can get another round in.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of just like the um how you set up your finances, that's new to me.
Yeah.
Um, I have another win if I can share that. Like I got my first business debit card today.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
I literally have had an account that's been accruing money, but I've been like living off my savings for the last year because entrepreneurship's new to me. And it's also like this scary world that I'm just trying to figure everything out. So I'm like, I feel like a man right now because I'm like, I took the expense or like the account that I actually raised up some money and paid my tax accountant. I was like, yeah, this is business. This sucks. But I'm like, I, I mean, I got an expense that I can use for, next year's taxes. Woo, let's go. So it's a little bit of, so like everything that you just said in terms of just like finances are one of the biggest arguments in marriage. And
Yeah.
like I come from a broken household. So like,
Mhm.
I want I only want one wedding in my lifetime. And, I just really would like to have everything organized. So that the buckets really kind of came into play. Who do you learn that from?
Oh, geez. I mean, Ramit Sethi is a great one. I Will Teach You to Be Rich is a great book to read. I think that will get you about 90% of the way there.
Okay, so that's a big recommendation. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
for sure. Great
And
book.
then yeah, I mean, just from franchising aspect, like how is like that movie The Founder with Ray Kroc and McDonald's, like how is that like was there any similarities to your journey?
I've been recommended that movie. I need to watch that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's good.
haven't watched it. We're on year 4 of franchising. We'll grow from 110 to 200 locations this year. So the feeling of building like a national business is like one of the things I'm the most proud about. Like it's really cool to see the ability to affect a lot of people's lives and to touch a lot of people. Like it's been really fun in that sense. Yeah, but I haven't
Awesome.
seen the movie.
That's awesome.
Well, all right, so I'll read the book, you watch the movie.
Deal. Mine's easier, but deal. Deal.
Jacoby, what about you? Any comments, questions? What are you thinking about?
Well, my main, my only question is like, what spurred you to start the business? Like, where did you find that motivation to start this particular, what is it, a
Yeah.
wax, yeah, waxing place? Like, what made you want to do waxing? Like, how much research did you do prior to saying, okay, I'm going to open my first store?
Well, they always say you should do what you're passionate about, and I love vaginas. And so, why not? You gotta follow your passions. Yeah. No, totally joking here. Totally joking. It's an economic game for me. So there's a couple of like rules that I codify in business that I think are important. Um, there's 2 buckets to play in. One, you're either selling to the rich with a high margin, or you're selling to the commons in high volume. and you don't want to get stuck in the middle. Like a food truck is stuck in the middle. Like it's not the margins that really make it work, and you're not going to be able to do volumes to become wealthy. So either you're doing high volume, low margin, or high margin, low volume play, but nothing in the middle. And waxing was something that was for the common people, right? I mean, it's something that I could do 10,000. Right now we do 10,000 Brazilians a month in Phoenix, so $10 million of work. I guess 12,000 Brazilians a month, whatever it is, to get to 10 million. And then the second bucket was I needed to be in the top 3 of the game. And so when I was looking at the brands that were doing this, there's European Wax and like 2 others. But I looked at that and I recently thought to myself, I could compete with these guys. You know, if I could build something unique and special, I could compete with them. And the other things I liked about this is I wanted a business that had a career and not a job for the employees. So when we look at the restaurant businesses, we see a lot of turnover because there's not career satisfaction. Nobody goes to work to McDonald's and think I want to do this for the rest of their life. Whereas with waxing, they get a degree in aesthetics, and then they want to be in the aesthetics field. So people stay in this business for a long time. And the fourth thing was I wanted a business where I wasn't the one doing the service, because the more you can remove yourself from the service, then you're not trading time for money, and then you can have something that's scalable. And it checked all those boxes, along with a high margin, like the waxing has a high margin to it, and recurring revenue. So people come back once a month, and there's a monthly membership.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting.
That's awesome. Great question, Jacoby. Because you start to realize that with business, like Bringham's a true entrepreneur. He's not like, hey, I built this passion project and now we're going to do it this way. It's a very different thought process, and you get a very different result when you're super intentional with your boxes. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, great question.
Let's the other thing that we have not touched on that is super interesting about Brigham is that he travels probably 3 months out of the year. So you're sitting there going like, whoa, he's running this big business, he's in shape, he's good looking. How's he doing all this? You know what I mean? So my question to you, Brigham, is how do you think about work-life balance and thinking outside of the box? Because I know there's so many of us here that are like, I just need to work 100 hours and then I'll make it. And it's like, that's not always the solution. Like, there is an enjoyment factor. So, how do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So batching is a really strong principle for me. We're running 12 companies in the business. So batching time for the specific business at a specific time period is important. And then, I think, let's just go to a high level. There's 2 buckets you can play in. There's operations and growth. And as a CEO, most of the time people start off doing the operations and they never quite get out of operational mode, right? But growth mode is you do the operations to build the system, and once the system is built, you put somebody in that place to run it. And the cutback that people have is like, how can I put somebody in place? I won't make as much money. But if your business can't afford to have an employee in that place, then something's wrong on the economic structure, right? Like the business should be able to operate entirely without you. And so for me, I mean, where my skills and expertise need to lie is how do I find the right person and incentivize them properly to manage an aspect of the business. So on a high level principle, it's about building the system and then putting somebody into the system itself to make that run on its own. Getting into the weeds a little bit more, batching is really important to me. So I learned this early on. I travel with my wife. I mean, we traveled when we got married, we traveled 5 months that year. And we're traveling 3 to 4 months a year right now. And we'll go to a country and it's like at first it was like, oh man, like, hey, I gotta go take this phone call. I'll be right back. And you're in the middle of something really cool. And it's like, I feel bad because I want to share this moment with you. And like I can't. And it's just upsetting because she had the expectation of me being present and I can't be present. And so what I started doing was I used Calendly. You guys know Calendly, like it's a way to
Yeah,
like,
the
personalize your schedule.
scheduling software. Yeah.
And I only do meetings on Wednesdays and now Mondays because I'm too busy on Wednesdays. So I have 2 days of meetings and they're back to back all day long. So from morning till night, probably till 6:30 at night my time, I'll be doing meetings. And that allows the rest of the days to be entirely free. And so when we travel, I'll just get a really nice hotel for the Wednesdays and Mondays. I'll be in the room doing meetings, and she just has the expectation to go on her own. And then every other day, I'm working my not manager side of the brain, but programmer side of the brain, the side of the brain that takes very long times to build and research and develop uninterrupted from, society. So those two things like have to be in balance, right? You need meetings, but batch the meetings. Don't do meetings and then go back to like programmer mode where you need long interrupted periods. And then find out how to put systems in place so you can completely remove yourself. And I'll just kind of show what this looks like on Safari. So I use a program called Monday. This says December goals, but I got to update this to February now.
Mhm.
And then all of the businesses have a bucket, and I'll write if I'm on track or off track for all of these. And these get updated. And as soon as I hit done on something, it'll go off of this schedule. So then I have my like monthly alignment of the stuff that I'm doing. And I look at these every Monday and I update this every Monday. And we do the same thing as a company. So we have the company's monthly align or weekly alignment, you'll call it. And so, for example, we just got back. We're not done with February setting this up, but here's January's goals. And stuff that was either on track or done is listed here. And so everyone on the team has a responsible party for this.
Yeah.
And they have all their goals that they're working on for the month. And then the reason we do this meeting is because this allows us to share the goals with each other, kind of like in this setting where we're all together. And if there's resources needed from other teams, it's their one time a week to collaborate those resources so we're not overlapping on projects to ensure that we get the maximum efficiency. And the added benefit of this is as we use this kind of system, if
Yeah.
Jordan has like 10 goals and I have like one, I start to feel very insecure that I'm not doing enough for the team. And so it pushes everybody to be fully involved in the company.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Dylan, what are you taking from this?
So wait, that's called Monday work management.
Yeah, Monday. There's
All
Asana
right.
is another one.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, it's
No,
really effective.
I liked your insight on the travel aspects and how you manage it with batching and just grouping your days and being present. If you're working, you're working. If you're there, you're there. So I like travel a lot too, and I'm trying to eventually build more of that work-life balance. I broker commodities that are attached to the market hours, so I could work remote, but like I went to Costa Rica last week. I worked for a couple of days there because I had trades that we had to focus
Yeah.
on. And like I still enjoyed it, but at a certain point, it's like you want to be able to go on a trip where you're taking more than just the weekends to enjoy. So maybe eventual career shift, but I don't know. I think my main takeaway, I liked your insight on when you're talking about just the waxing as from pure economics and a business standpoint. I think that's great. And I like when Jordan first met you and I looked up the story, the light bulb in my head, I was like, yeah, like waxing is like controlled costs across the board, pretty much. And
Yep.
high margins, it's a lot of residuals once you have client retention. Like if girls
Yeah.
do it, they come back, they do it, and there's demand for it everywhere. Maybe not, in Alaska. There's certain areas that might not be as popular. You might want a little extra warmth. But no, looking at it, I'm like it's because I love listening to different podcasts, business podcasts. Open your mind to, it doesn't have to be something that you're passionate about. It could be the business model behind it.
Yeah.
But like that's an activity or practice. Like it's a great line of business. So I applaud you on
Yeah.
that. Definitely
Be
very
passionate
interesting.
about business itself, not the business
Yeah.
you're in, right?
Yeah, it's the business and the structure, and how how could, like as you say, you look at the competition and being like, oh, I could optimize software better than this to make this more of a user friendly
Yeah.
experience and have better retention, have better service, a little better brand and appeal, and the TikTok stuff that you do, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, we're not just any waxing company, like we're cool and with trends, like it's a mix of like social and business.
Yeah. Well said. Really well said.
Love that. Chase, what are you taking from this? Maybe he needs a second. Jacoby, are you there?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Do you have any comments or questions?
Well, my only like real question is just like what drives you to keep going, to keep growing? Because like I have been looking into my own business, but right now I remember you said you need at least $100,000 cash. I don't think that I'm looking specifically into franchising, but
Yeah.
your business model is something that I'd be a lot more interested in, just so I can learn from it. Because my business idea has to do more with like hydroponics and like eliminating food deserts in urban communities. But like, I just want to know more so about like your business model when it comes to the corporate side, because that's where I think I'm struggling the most with. Like, how do you find the right people to run your corporate suite?
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, one quick comment, it's tangential to what you're talking about. So, as we're looking at businesses to start, franchises are a good place to play because the banks find them safer than your own business. If you go to a bank and say, I want to start, a waxing company, they will give you no money to do so. But if you went to a bank and you said, I want to join the Hello Sugar franchise, the word franchise, the fact that it's reputable and has been repeatedly done over and over again, gives banks the confidence to invest in that. So most people can invest in a business with 10% of the cost outlay. So, any kind of franchise that costs a half a million, they might only have to put $50,000 down, which is reasonable to be able to start that business and compete in that marketplace. Banks like franchising for whatever reason. But in terms of like finding the right people, Jacoby, like one of the hardest things to do is find the right people. I think I get it really right a third of the time. I get it okay a third of the time, and I get it really wrong a third of the time. And we're still like, you know, we do a thorough analysis. And the best thing that I can recommend in terms of hiring is just like, I think you were saying you're getting your degree. Was that you who were saying that?
Yeah.
Just like at the end of like a master's or a bachelor's degree, you have like a final project, like a capstone, senior capstone project or a master's thesis. I kind of look at hiring the same way. So what I'll do is we're hiring a CMO right now. And instead of hiring a CMO, I'm asking for a fractional 3-month contract to do something very particular and important in the company. And I'll pay them accordingly. Uh, but that's their like interview. Their interview is not like, tell me what you've done. It's like, I like this guy enough to give him a shot. Let's give him 3 months to see what he actually builds. And it's a small project, it's very much part-time on the side. And if he does well on this, then I'll offer him a full-time career job. But it'll really tell us if he's the right person or not with minimal risk on our side, right? Because it's just a 3-month fractional project.
Okay. Pretty
I'm
interesting.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Brigham. The way you think about things to limit risk is very,
Thanks.
very important for everyone to realize. Because when you sit
Thanks.
there, I don't even want to know how you met your wife. I feel like you would have been like yogurt date only, keep it very simple, keep it clean. Because I saw that and I was like, that's freaking genius. My one buddy, he's going out to these big dinners, big blowouts, and he's like, then I don't see the girl. And I'm like, do the yogurt. It's way quicker. Like you can get in and out. You can do it quick. You can do it long. No, that's funny. When
Yeah.
you really think about it, there is so much. Like if we can introduce that into our day to day, like how do you limit risk?
Yeah.
Nobody is sitting there going, yeah, I want to hire a CMO. I'm gonna make him part time for 3 months and see how he does. Like that is unconventional thinking, which is why I'm so glad you're here right now because you're getting people to think differently and like stair step their way into these different businesses or different opportunities.
Yeah. All 9 of our hires on my team are that way. So I didn't hire anybody without doing that.
Yeah. It limits risk.
Yeah, and then on the dating side, I laugh at that because yeah, that was always my system. It was first date was to go to like a soda shop, and I don't even drink soda. It just was like, an easy date. And then the third date, I told every girl I dated on the third date I wanted a prenup. And so like she knew like going into this, like it's not about you, but like anyone I date, I'm getting a prenup. If that's a problem for you, you know about it now. Like,
Yeah. No, I mean it
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah.
It makes sense. You wanna be able to do things, but you gotta be able to protect yourself. And having the hard conversations early is a super powerful thing. I think it moves
Yeah.
the needle a lot closer.
Yeah. Yeah, I think everyone should get prenups, even if it's not like a lot of money at stake. Just knowing how you want to split things up ahead of time in case you're one of the 50% of people that split, probably smart to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, Jace, what about you?
Um, yeah, I wish I knew about the prenup thing. Um,
I've got it
yeah,
listed, brother. If you need a template, I got you.
yeah, man. I couldn't even bring that word up. I missed a little bit of it, but I mean, I'll just say, um, as somebody that's been owner, operator, sales guy for like the last 2 years, and Jordan always pushing me to be the guy pushing sales. It's just nice hearing from you. Well, from what I heard, I got a little distracted from somebody at the door, but um, yeah, I just really want to make this year like the year where I'm, you know, I got one guy helping with me, way more consistent than the other guys, so want to get somebody else on here to at least mow the yards and allows me to go out and do some of these bigger estimates I like to do, or at least bigger jobs. So, um, because
Yeah,
that's for me. For me, it's been like when me and my wife want to travel, I haven't been able to do more than a 10-day trip. And that was probably a one time I did a 10-day trip. The rest have been a week. Because I mean, we ski, snowboard, try to go every year as well.
nice, nice.
Um, so, but yeah, that's been a boiling point for me is
Yeah,
wanting to travel and
Chase, a couple things for you, man. Like, you know, one of the places that probably should occupy a lot of your mind, your headspace, is how do I stop trading time for money?
yeah,
How do I create the economics so that, you know, the things that you're doing on a daily basis, you can stop doing those things? So I ask myself on a very regular basis, like, what task am I regularly doing? And how do I never do that task again? So that I'm not in the operational side of the business and I'm 100% in the growth side of the business. So
yeah,
having salespeople, and if you hire salespeople, you need more than one. It's really hard to hire just one because they have no one to compete against. Or having the people that mow the lawns, you know, you really, how do you economically incentivize them to be aligned with what you need, which is like good service and retention of clients and, you know, having them continue on with you for a long time. So you're not having to constantly train. Get those pieces of the business set up so that you're not actually operational in the business and only focus on growth. And the second thing I'll say, and this is for everyone, is when you do go on these trips, it becomes very apparent what part of your business is weak, what part needs to be systematized and optimized, and what part can just sustain without you. And a lot of the times you go on these trips, like your team is like, oh crap, I can't rely on Brigham. And they go and figure it out. You know, they're like, oh, he's on vacation. Like, I don't want to bother him. And they go and figure out whatever they need to figure out. And so these are kind of, you know, you think of these like trips a little bit like a check and balance for your company to see if it can run operationally without you, which is where you want to be.
yeah. I can even just having. I've always had a guy helping me. The last month or so has been. Seems like he's here to stay. So but I
Nice.
definitely relate to that as far as going on a trip, coming back, and I'm like, oh, okay.
So,
Well, at least for me on a smaller scale, it's like, oh, this client reacts poorly when I'm gone, or this
so
person does this.
Chase,
Yeah,
just real quick, because you got to bring him here. He's got 112 franchisees. They all have employees.
right.
Let's ask Brigham, how would you incentivize the employee to be interested in what's doing and retain them? How do you think about
Sure.
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
Brigham?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. So early on in my career, I had a pay structure that increased with time. So basically, as people stayed at the company longer, they made more money. And I think that's a traditional salary increase raise route. And I was trying everything to get people to sell memberships. Memberships is what I needed, is the lifeblood of my business. And I couldn't figure it out. I tried gamification, I tried prizes, I tried bonuses, I tried, you know, literally everything. And then one day I woke up and I had this idea. What if I aligned the incentives of them with the incentives of what I want? So I asked myself, what do I want? And I instantly knew it. I want more memberships. So then I said, okay, forget about giving people raises based off time. They only get a raise if they sell X amount of memberships. And every X amount of memberships they sell, they get a raise. So then the top performers are more motivated to sell more memberships because it's directly aligned with their compensation. And it's the same thing
So
for you, Chase. So,
Yeah.
you
you
know,
do. So, like, let's say you're paying someone, let's just use really easy numbers. I know
yeah,
these aren't the actual numbers, but let's say it's $10 an hour.
sure.
They sell 10 of them. You don't give them commissions on each one. You just go, hey, sold 10 of them. Now you're at $15 an hour.
That's one way to
Right.
do it. For us, you know, it's everything's commission based. So
Oh, so
instead of
you give a
making,
piece of each one. So like they're
yeah,
staying at the 10 and then you give them like maybe
11.
$5 on each one. I'm just using small numbers.
Yeah, just regular. Yeah. So instead of making $10 a Brazilian, they make $11 a Brazilian. And if they sell 100 more Brazilian memberships, they'll make $12 a Brazilian. And so when the economic incentives became aligned with what I wanted, literally the next month, and I was struggling. I was trying everything. I didn't do anything the month that I raised. I changed the commissions, except change the commissions because I wanted to see what it would do. I doubled my conversion rate. So double the
Wow.
amount of people literally overnight started buying memberships because now they're aligned in incentives with what I want. Now,
Chase, take notes.
yeah, so
Yeah, I mean,
Chase,
I was just gonna say the Mike Andes guy, the guy I referred to, he does, instead of paying his people that operate the mowers, instead of paying that, well, he pays them an hourly, but then on top of that, it's or no, it's however many yards they get done that day. So it incentivizes them to mow a little, just be more
Quicker.
efficient so they can hit that top number. So yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, so you could look at like customer satisfaction scores if you did a survey. You could look at like how much retention, how many pre-books, if they pre-booked their next lawn mowing. Um,
yeah,
Stuff like these, like look for the like look at ask yourself, what do I want? And then that's what you pay them off of. And keep
okay,
it
yeah,
simple, very simple, like one metric only.
okay, great, yeah.
Awesome. Cole, what about you? What are you getting from this?
In terms of just the whole, again, I'm just going back to like franchising and like how much, like you've created a system and then
Yeah,
you've duplicated it.
yeah,
Um, I'm to look at where I'm at in my business and working with a business partner because I'm in staffing and recruitment, which I'm a minority business owner. And I'm trying to get him to get out of the sales and into more operations.
mhm.
But like also, like hire on sales. We're hiring on two. So I really like that tip about having two. But building a system to where, there's a lot of automation. How are you doing that right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. A couple of softwares we're using to create automations. Have you heard of Zapier?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So centrally, you want to like map out the whole ideation flow. So it's like a person comes in, what are the softwares that they come in on? Okay, what is the next step? How do I communicate back to them? So then I use Zapier to take what they came in on and then communicate back to them through some kind of
Wait one sec.
telecommunication channel.
Dylan, do you know what it is or no?
That's okay if not. I
Xavier,
can
no,
explain it.
no, no.
Okay, yeah, no, that's what I was gonna say. I don't think most people do on the call. So if you can just explain it, or if you have a visual, because I feel like Brigham, you might have a visual.
Yeah, I can make one real quick. I mean, so if we just get a Zapier.
So guys, just to give you a preface, so I do Facebook leads, and I learned about Zapier through this, where basically what ends up happening was if a lead signs up, then I shoot them an email. I get a text message, and then they also get added to an Excel sheet so that I can track them to see where they're at.
Yeah,
But this
that's
is
that's right.
super useful.
Yeah, so it's like conditional statements. So the way Zapier works is like you have one software that doesn't communicate with another software. So maybe your lead flow doesn't communicate with Gmail, but they both register on the Zapier platform and they have like actions that can happen. So here we can make the logic that if a new Webflow form is submitted, then go on to, Gmail and send them an email with this template, and then you can fill in the template with information from the Webflow system. And then the next thing you do is you could put it into your MailChimp account or your Salesforce account, etc. And so we use Zapier to help create automated systems throughout this process and how that would flow. That's like one of the like larger tools that we're using right now. Once you get those done, you can change them from Zapier to APIs. APIs are like they're tokens basically on websites that use links to do the same thing
Yeah.
for cheaper.
Like, do you use AI with like large language models, ChatGPT?
Yeah. Tell them
Yeah,
tell them about your the software you created for the front desk.
yeah. I mean, this starts to make sense when you have a lot of units. So if your budget for like reception is less than 100,000 a year, it doesn't make much sense. But at our level, we're doing 40 to 50,000 Brazilians a month. And so at that level, the more you can automate, like the more it makes a lot of sense. So we built so we use a platform for telecommunications called Zendesk. Zendesk operates with a AI model called Ultimate. And then in Ultimate, we build a wiki, a really long, series of information about Brazilian wax scheduling. Okay, so you just put everything in there. And then you train every response that comes in through text. So I want to book an appointment. You train it and you say, okay, if they want to book an appointment, is that the intent? Or like, I am on my period, I want to reschedule, I got to cancel my membership. These are all intents. And once the AI is 98% accurate and confident that it understands the intent, then I train the response to the intent. And we use that big wiki to train the response. And then once we're 98% confident that the response is right, that's when we release that. And so eventually, after releasing all these intents, you can get closer and closer to 100% of like totally handling the system through AI. That's how it's done.
Awesome.
Awesome.
I mean, again, through the past like hour or so, I'm just like, this dude's a systems guy. Like he just
Yeah.
like builds it,
Yeah.
engineer, and then duplicates. And I love that.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
Absolutely. Griff, what are you taking from this?
That's a pretty sweet software you got. I wish my company used something like that.
Yeah.
You should look
So-
into Palantir, Griffin. Tell your boss to look into Palantir.
Sorry, what was that, Dylan?
Oh, so tell your boss to look into Palantir. They could use another customer.
Yeah, I know, for real. Try and get them to get that.
So Griff, you got any questions or any comments about what we were discussing just overall about the lifestyle and how you think about living and business and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I was kind of curious about your travel. Kind of based on your experience, what would you say was probably like the best quality of life where like the American dollar would go the furthest?
Yeah. And have you traveled a lot outside the United States or like what
For,
like
to be honest, for the most part, only Europe, and then I've been to Thailand.
okay, yeah, Thailand's probably like for people that haven't traveled, like Thailand's like where I send people. It's like the
Okay,
easiest,
yeah,
cheapest place. You know, it has like the most easy access for life. I lived a year in Thailand, in my
nice.
20s. Yeah. I guess now like I look at travel a little bit differently. Like I really like visiting places that are like hard to live in. That's like
Mm,
what excites me. So like last year was Mongolia. This year I'm doing the North Pole. So we're heading up to like 5 hours north of Oslo. It's like this little island. It's the most northern island of the world. We're doing like a 3-day snowmobiling expedition up there in Svalbard. That's the kind of stuff that really interests me now. But like top places like for living abroad would probably be Thailand would be very high, like number one.
mhm.
Canary Islands in the south of Spain is like really cheap, really easy lifestyle to be in. Great place to live and work. Or Medellin, Colombia, cheap, on the same time zone, easy to get around, great place as well.
Yeah. I've
Thank
heard,
you.
yeah. It's
Yeah, I've
funny
heard
because
very good things about Colombia. I need to get out
Awesome,
there.
man. Awesome place. Yeah.
it's funny because I don't know if you ever had this experience, Brigham, just being there, or you, Griffin, from going to Thailand, but literally after I came back from Thailand, I was like, one, I don't know if I should come back here. And then the second one was literally you could retire there right now.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
could literally be done and be like, I'm good. Because it's literally
Yeah.
like $1,000 a month. Like it's insane
Yeah. It's
there. Like
so cheap out there.
you could
It's so
retire
nice.
instantaneously and you're like, like my life is done. My life, my existence, I'm good. So everyone's
No,
like, yeah, it's
one,
scared to retire. I want to do this, but you can
it's a
do it
pretty
right now.
crazy like when I went, I was 19 when I went, but I think at the time like one US dollar was equivalent like to like 34, $35 like at the time basically, and I was like, oh, this is great.
Yeah,
Dude,
$1 is about 30 baht.
yeah,
Yeah.
we had a driver who would take us around all day for a few bucks. Like it's
Yeah,
insane there.
it's cheap,
Um,
man.
Yeah. I
but
Easy
feel like I would have
place.
a much different perspective now being like older in the workforce than I did when I was like 19 if I were to travel to Thailand.
I mean, I went there post graduation and I go, this is the place you go if you get divorced. Like
Yeah,
this is
100%.
dude, these guys are scuba diving and then they're just indulging with the women and I'm like, dude, this is the place you go if you get divorced, a real bad breakup, like anything crazy, like you go to Thailand. Like just get out of here. Like just do a change up.
Totally. Totally.
Definitely a
Um,
good excursion.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. So we'll hop into the final part of this because I really appreciate your time, Brigham, and
Nice.
I try to finish it by 7 p.m. if possible.
Yeah.
But we can go, this could go on for hours. Um, But pretty much what I do next is the greatest benefit of this conversation. So I've been running, I basically had a coach who brought up to me, he said, whenever you have a deep conversation, have the greatest benefit of this conversation. Ask that to all the people. The reason for that is everyone will have a different benefit. I might sit there and think, oh, Cole related with this, or Brigham really like this. But what do I know? That's why I'm going to ask you guys. So, Cole, what is your greatest benefit of this conversation? And then we'll do our action step for this week and then the gratitude. And we should be done by 7, hopefully.
Um, yeah, again, thank you so much, Brigham, for your time. Really appreciate you coming
You bet.
on. And thank you so much for Jordan, your invite. Yeah, the confirmation that I got is to create a system in terms of like my financial management before I get married, and then have that. And if there's any resistance, throw her back in the ocean of fishes, right? So I'm sorry.
Get it
It's,
out.
like filtering her,
Um,
it's system. So like really, so I'm gonna read that book, and I
Yeah,
promise you I'll have Jordan, relay my impression of that
sounds
book.
good. We'll love that.
I could see Cole on a date just going, you don't like the system? It's over. It's over.
I'm a systems
Yeah.
guy.
No, but
I'm gonna
no,
have
but
HR call you tomorrow at 4 p.m. Don't worry about it. No big deal.
it's not going to work out. That's funny. Griff, what's your greatest benefit of today's call? Griffin. Jacoby, what about you? What's your greatest benefit?
The greatest benefit I think that I gained from this call is the way you approach hiring people. Because back when I was originally planning to start this, I chose the wrong person who kind of ghosted me. So like I like the 3 month time period, and I think that's like honestly the greatest benefit that I had to this conversation.
Absolutely.
Hiring is so important, man. So important to hire right.
It's kind of like dating too. If you give it 3 months, you could see how they act. They fall out of character. It's not this, it's the best person on the first date. So I think that's really good. Great comment. Chase, what about you?
I mean, just yeah, just everything. I appreciate your time here, of course,
Thanks,
and
Chase.
I mean, just from the financial buckets with your spouse to just creating the the culture is what I took from it. Just trying to figure out what you want and make that align with the people working for you. So and just other things. Everything was like a gem you dropped. So I
Thanks, man.
appreciate it.
Appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Dylan, what about you? Oh, Griff, are you back on?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get to you in a sec, Dylan. Griff, what's your greatest benefit of today?
Greatest benefit would probably be going over, I'll say the different franchising questions that I had as related to like the states and everything that you went over earlier. And then thank you very much, obviously, for the conversation with like the buckets and everything. I was thinking of different ways in which I kind of mirrored that and what I could like take away a little bit into my own. And what action step? Or what is that?
No. We're just doing the greatest benefit. Then we'll do the action step. Dylan, what's your greatest benefit? Thanks, Griff.
I'm gonna share two because I'm being selfish. One, I had a work dinner the other night with coworkers of mine. I guess there's a table of 7 because I was the only single one there. One is there, the wife, the other two with their girlfriends, and I'm close with all of them. And the discussion of prenups came up. The one that's married doesn't have one. The other two, the girls were very, they're quick to say they wouldn't get one. I was very outspoken on the fact that I'm definitely going to have one, and I had to defend an onslaught of why. So I'm glad that you said that. That was, validated me a bit, even though I already know I was
Love it,
right.
Dylan. Love
Yeah,
it,
I was
Dylan.
like, you know what? Yeah, I believe in love too. I don't plan on getting divorced. People change. Crazy shit can happen, and
You
I
get
love my
insurance if
family, and I
there's a
love I
chance
love
of,
my own successes.
yeah,
Yeah,
well, you get
exactly.
insurance if there's a chance of like a health scare, and those chances are
Yeah.
less than 50%. If a great
Yeah,
significant
there
thing's
could
going
there
to
could be
impact your
there could be a
financial life.
mental health scare. Someone could really
Yeah.
change as life goes
Yep.
on. For sickness and all that stuff. On top of it, the what I just like picking your brain and just kind of how you work through problems and kind of your approach, especially in the way that you're like Jacoby mentioned or Cole mentioned that you're a systems person, the kind of your economic business approach to the company and the mix of the use of AI and creating a system while intertwining that with human psychology between how to incentivize your employees, the thought process of hiring them, and then how to create as much retention, client retention as you can. It all kind of ties in pretty well. But that's a lot of what I've been trying to learn, lately is that this push of AI is really as much about systems as it is about human psychology. You can't have one without the other.
Yeah, it's
So it's cool.
very much both. Well said, Griffin.
Absolutely. Equity of the bit. Oh, little comments. I love it, Brigham. You're always doing something. What's your greatest benefit, Brigham?
Geez, I mean, you guys are awesome. I love how just a renewed sense of like energy from entrepreneurship, and you guys are all like good quality, down to earth people. So that was it's been invigorating and motivating for me too.
Oh, I love that. I
Yeah.
really appreciate that. And cool. Then we'll get into the action steps. So this is what are we gonna do this week to move the needle forward? So Cole, for you, what's an action step that you're gonna do this week? And it can be very small, very tiny, but you just got to make sure you're gonna do it.
I'm literally looking up right now on Amazon and bookstores for the how to I can teach you to be rich.
I will teach you to be
So,
rich. Yes.
yeah.
He
Great,
also
great move. Great
the
move.
the funny thing is that he actually has a book called Money for Couples, and me and Madison
Oh.
are currently reading that.
I haven't read that one. That's cool.
It just came out this year because it's like he's like, oh, a lot of the issues are here, but he talks about the different buckets, and I mean, a lot of it's you're knowing, but like if you can get a little insight, you're like,
Yeah,
oh, dude,
that's cool.
solid stuff. Yeah. That's cool. So you're gonna get that book, you're saying, Cole?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
worth it.
Very cool.
Very much worth it.
Awesome. Griff, what about you?
My
What's your
personal
action step?
computer died, so I'm gonna buy a new computer.
Very cool. Every single week, you just got some thing that you're gonna buy. That's
Yeah, I
his
mean,
action step.
I was thinking about though, it is from 2012, so it's pretty old.
Oh
12
wow.
years.
I mean,
It's
if you're
the OG
following
Mac.
if you're following Brigham's thing, if you like the tech, dude, get it every year, man. Keep it simple.
Yeah, I mean, my company gives me my like its own like computer, so I haven't really used my personal in that long, like that. You know what I mean? There's not much
Yeah,
utility for it these days, but it's completely dead and brought it in, no recovery. So gonna get a new one.
I like it.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Jacoby, what about you?
Well, my action step is just doing good on these interviews. I'm gonna be honest, because being out of work is fine. I get to wake up whenever I want, but it's like that itch that's kind of being fulfilled by school right now. But knowing that that's coming to an end, it's like, okay, well, I need to start focusing on my career.
So
Yeah,
Jacoby,
time to get back at it.
Jacoby, we have Brigham on the call. Brigham has probably hired way more people than any of us. So Brigham, is there any insight you could give him real quick? I mean, in what you think?
Yeah, like you're presenting for interviews. Um, yeah, that's a tough one depending on the job, right?
Jacoby, if you can give a little background real quick. Like what
It's
kind of job is it? Yeah.
the job that because they just moved up the interview date till tomorrow. It's for a contract position with the government. Actually, it's developing aviation. I can't remember off the top of my head. I need to actually do research. That's going to be my action step. Do the research on the company so I can do a better interview.
Yeah.
But it's developing aviation scanning technology. So scans for planes as well as ships, like the sonar and the radar. That's pretty much what it is. The position that I was told about was more so on the operational side, meaning I'd be doing my old job in the Navy basically for like twice as much, and I think that that'd be really good for me. But I don't know specifically off the top of my head, just because like every time I do my research on it, I get a little bit more confused because it's like it's a new field to be looking for a job that's actually in my military career, that's on
Is
the civilian.
there is there a is there a list of is there a job description that you're seeing right now?
So I actually got the recommendation from one of my buddies in a Facebook group
Yeah.
who was also in the Navy. So
But
there was a specific job description, and every time I asked him, he's like, "Yeah, they're just kind of looking for people with clearances. Just be honest and be cool with them." And he really
yeah.
liked that. So I haven't gotten like a solid job description for what I'd be doing.
Yeah,
But
so the best advice, I mean, so every time people are hiring, they're looking for buzzwords and keywords in the interview process. So with the exception of just, dress well and be likable, I would take that, job description as best as you know what it is. Maybe you can find one on Indeed, something similar. Throw that into ChatGPT and then figure out what are the buzzwords that somebody's looking for to like ace this interview. And just use that as your like model for what the buzzwords are that you need to say.
I'll definitely look into that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's the easiest way.
Very cool. Chase, what's your action step?
Um, dude, I got some big ass jobs lined up, man. I'm just gonna make sure they go smooth. I don't really want to. I'm not gonna do anything too crazy with this action step, but
Very cool.
yeah, man. So
Dylan, what about you?
Mine is due to past failed action steps. I'm going to pre-file my own taxes this week, but
oh
then
yeah.
I do have an accountant that I'm going to be using full time for next year. But I'm going to kind of pre-file them and then have them, have enough time to be able to look it through and see if there's anything else I could do on my end. But start that process.
Nice.
You definitely can. I would
Yeah. No,
talk
there's
to them beforehand.
yeah, there's time, so I have it set up. But yeah, and then I'll actually be able to use them for all of this year to help me prior to next year. Everything that we talked about this year.
Yeah. Are you good?
There's just a fire truck that went by. I am good.
Oh, okay. I thought he was getting
I'm in
pulled
my
over. I'm like, geez
no,
Louise,
no,
like we can't end the
no,
call like that.
no.
I'm like,
My apartment's burning down, but I'm fine.
Brigham, what's your action step? What are you gonna
Man,
do?
I'm gonna update my Monday board. I'm gonna get that thing looking sexy and good.
I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So guys, we got like 3 minutes. This is gonna be the really easy part. We end it with gratitude. So it's what are we grateful for? So Cole, what are you grateful for? It can be
I'm
anything and
grateful
everything.
for just the pain points and like the lessons that I've been learning in my entrepreneurial journey early on.
Absolutely. Griff, what about you? Jacoby?
Honestly, the gym.
Okay.
Over this month, I've been going like pretty much every day, and it's helped with my mental state and me preventing myself from spiraling. Because not to get political, but trying to get a job in the federal government is just not a plausible thing right now, and that's where most of my experience is. And
Yeah,
I've been on edge. So the gym, I'll say the gym 100%.
I love that. Griff.
Grateful for my house. The other earlier this week there was a car accident and my neighbor's house got ran into and I didn't sustain any damages. It was a drunk driver and everything. Ran right into the
Horrible.
property, so
Dang.
I was pretty stoked that I didn't have any damages.
That's terrible. Wow.
Wow.
It's
Dang.
wild. Chase, what about you? I'm glad you're okay, Griff.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't home.
Yeah, I'm grateful for this weather over here in St. Pete, man. We went from ice cold to us to, I mean, pina coladas on the beach, so it's nice
Love
weather.
it. Dylan, what about you?
Yeah, similar to Chase, just grateful that I'm living down here in Florida. Like, just I had an easy 2 hour flight or 2.5 hour flight to go to Costa Rica last week, and then I'm, on a golf trip that I drove to this weekend. Where it's like when I lived in New York, I wouldn't be doing any of that in February.
Yeah. That's big.
Brigham, for you, what are you grateful for?
Man, I'm grateful for my team, man. I've been really relying on them this past couple of months as we're scaling, and it's just been really nice to know that there's people that have my back.
That's awesome. I love that. Let me end this.